Basketball fans, welcome back. So in this presser we have Melissa, the Equity Hawks coach, and Debbie. So let's just see how this interview goes. In the previous video we talked about KP and how he went down, and in this video we'll be talking about the Equity Hawks. So this is their first go around in the longest time. We've not seen them play at this level. They've been mostly playing zone 5 a lot, and they've been failing in zone 5, but this year they succeeded and they had a podium finish. They finished number 3. And in this video I'll just be looking at their pre-game presser, and with my commentary and some of what they're saying, you can be able to understand what's really going on.
Welcome to this new competition, African Women's Basketball League. My first question is, are you tired?
My God, this reporter's not holding back. He just went like straight for the banter. Like, they look tired. Like, this is the same thing I even saw in the pre-game presser with KPA. They just look tired, and they just did look like they're excited to be there. And let's just see how they're going to respond. But yeah, man, this reporter was just just turn the banter, but they just turned the banter switch on, and it was crazy. I don't know why he had to ask that question, but anyway. Let's just continue.
Are you tired because you just finished your qualification and you arrived today, this morning, late?
Yes and no. There's some form of fatigue. Also the travel. We just came early in the morning. We finished the qualifier, went back home, and we played in the league also. So this is the life of basketball. You have to keep on playing. But the little fatigue is maybe because of the travel, but we are ready.
You are ready. Melissa, you are ready?
Deborah, yes, we are ready.
We are ready.
Yes.
We are ready for the battle.
We are ready for the battle.
Deborah, you ready? Melissa, sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, I'm ready. We have to stay ready. We don't have a choice but to be ready.
I mean, just going back to even like their body language and how they're responding to games, you could see they look tired. The coach in there mentioned that they had that long flight. It's a 6-hour flight to Cairo, Egypt. To be specific, they're playing in Alexandria, and given like the way they're responding, it just seems like it's just like a chore for them. It looks like basketball is like a chore for them. And I must say, even I said this in the KPA video, they look like they peaked out in zone 5 when they finished number 3, and putting like much more weight and asking them to be great again looks like a tall order. And that's why they're saying like it looks like they don't have a choice. They feel like they didn't want to even to be here at this point. And this is something that it amazes me, because a good player looks forward to like these opportunities and these moments to be able to like represent their country, even represent their team in a club level, and be able to like contend and show like they are who they say they are. Because they can say that they're great here, but if they're not tested against other teams that are good, because they have been much more comfortable blowing out teams here in Kenya, blowing out teams in zone 5, but when it comes to like when it matters and when it counts, when their greatness is being questioned and pulled to the fire, it looks like they don't want to show up and be able to defend that crown. So that's one thing that I've seen in recent times, and they're just content being in the way they are. They don't want to be challenged like that. So they may say they might say a different story, but we all know like the truth. We all see like how they're responding to these questions. They look like they don't want to be there. They feel like this is just so unnecessary. But in order to be great, you have to go through the grinder, and you have to go through great teams.
How was the qualification
In Kigali.
in Kigali?
Yes.
Yeah, you were in Kigali.
Yes. Yeah. Zone 5 was in Kigali.
Yes, zone 5.
And the team worked really hard, and being a new team, young girls, having attained position 3, most of them it was their first time there, and even here, half the team is the first time in this kind of a championship, and attained position 3 to get the wild card. It was amazing. The girls.
So given like the situation that made the Equity Hawks even get to this position, They had a wild card. They finished number 3. Then there was a wild card that was activated and made them get to this point. But initially, it was only the finalists that made it to the Africa Women's Cup. So, if the wild card wasn't activated, we only would have had KPA and REG. And also just to mention, like even in the game that made they made the difference for Equity was that game against REG, where they choked away a lead. They choked away and they were not able to like get the job done, and they will have been able to like even meet KPA in the finals, and we will have seen like 2 of Kenya's best compete in foreign soil. So that's one thing that they conveniently don't mention. But okay, the wildcard got activated, and now that's swept under the rug. But let's just see how they're able to like play against these teams, because at some point we're just going to find out if they are really what they say they are.
What do you think about this new competition?
The competition, I know it is a different ball game compared to the one that we had in Rwanda, but I believe we are ready for the challenge, because we've trained for it and we are ready.
So given like how they are beating up teams, they have beaten up the women's division in KBF, they took apart teams in Zone 5, but the big question is, do they have what it takes to be able to like compete at that high level? Because those KBF strategies and plays, those Zone 5 strategies and plays are not going to work here, because you're going to meet teams that are going to be able to like do proper scouting on you, and there'll be a lot of film, there'll be a lot of times where teams actively know what to do and what to expect. So as much as I'm just looking at the fact that they're saying that they're ready, I don't think so, because you can be ready for a KBF team, you can be ready for a Zone 5 team, but are you ready for the Africa Women's Cup? Because it's a different ball game altogether, and every single possession, every single decision that you make on the court is being monitored. And if you're not able to if you don't even have like good plays that you're running, of course you're gonna get beat every single time. So that's one thing that I don't think that they're prepared for, because they're going to match up against teams that offensively they are very good. And even given the fact that today they're going to match up against Interclub, a team that took apart KPA in the most embarrassing way last year. I mean, that was something that they need to like take heed to, because if they don't, it's just going to be like a huge blowout if they match up and they're not prepared mentally, physically, and also like gameplay wise, even the coach in this situation.
Melissa?
I concur with what Deborah has said. We're ready to play. We are here. The teams are much more competitive as compared to our zone. So we're just ready to play and to play well.
What were the different changes between your qualification and the team who is going to play tomorrow?
The teams that we are going to play right now are like they're representing the whole of Africa. So the competition is a bit higher as compared to in our zone. So the games are going to be a bit tough, not like the way. I'm not saying that in our zone they were easy, but these ones are going to be a little bit tough. I think that's the only difference. But we are for the challenge.
Yeah, I must say the level of competition will change, because you're matching up against teams from all corners of the continent. So every single team has worked their way to be there. So it becomes actually quite difficult to even say like you're able to like beat a team easily. But one thing I even focus on when I'm talking about even Kenyan teams, especially in this case the Equity Hawks, in recent time they have not been looking like the strongest side, or even they don't even display like they can be able to like play winning basketball at this level. So there's so much question marks, especially even when it comes from even their roster, because if you look at even the way that they looked when even they won the games, they looked like they really struggled. Their team chemistry is not there. the coach is just putting a band-aid on a festering wound. And even given like the mentality, or even like the top teams in the Equity Hawks, I don't even think that there's a number one, number two, number three option on the squad. They had the over reliance on a foreign player, especially when it comes to continental basketball. So, and given like even in zone 5, even given like the fact that they're going to match up against a team that has the ability to be able to like take them out easily and make them look like an inferior team, I don't think team wise they're able to like adjust to that level. So that's my biggest takeaway from this. And you can even see like somewhat of even their body language and how they're responding to this question. They don't seem to be confident even in their skill set, given like the way they have been hammering teams in KBF and zone 5. They feel like they're still not there yet, and I can see even the way they're responding to the question, they just look so short in there. And given even they finished number 3, there's still a lot of question marks in how they're approaching the games, because they didn't look as convincing, and they didn't even take apart teams as convincingly as you would have thought from a top team in the country. So there's so much that goes into that. So as the interview progresses, we'll just see how this thing pans out, and I also give my final remarks on it. So moving on.
Do we have in your team comparatively in the qualifiers some changes? I mean, some players you put to be better or something like that?
Basically, my team has not changed much. Maybe we've just brought in one more player who was not in the qualifier. So we've managed to maintain the same core, which we have tried to make them gel a little bit more, so they understand each other better than they did in the qualifier.
And what will be the main objective here? Is to go to be on the quarterfinal, semi-final, or final?
I believe everybody comes to a championship to be in the finals. So majorly, as our team, we are going to work with that. We will take one game at a time, and we pray that we reach the finals.
Well, unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen. A finals appearance, or even like a number 1, number 2, number 3, will be quite difficult for either KP or Equity. In this case, Equity, I don't think they're going to like get to that point, because given like how they look, okay, I like comparing KP and Equity because these are two top teams in the country, and KP look quite dominant when they are playing. And there are no questions when they're playing like domestically or even like in zone 5. But if you look at the Equity Hawks, they play very well, especially when it comes to like domestic basketball in KBF. But when it comes to like when it matters, especially when it comes to zone 5, when it matters, not even like the first, second or third games, when it matters, let's say in the game that was supposed to plug them into the finals, in the semis, they couldn't show up, and they didn't show up when they matched up a team that was greater than them. So in this situation, they're going to match up against teams that can have the ability to offset them at any given point in the contest, even in the preliminary round, even the game that they're going to play against Interclub today. They're going to get schooled in there, and they have to go and pick up this tape from last year and see how KPM matched up against Interclub, even in the finals, because Interclub made the finals but they lost to A Sporting. So this is an elite team that they're going to match up with. And even on the question on like even adding players on the roster, given like the way teams are retooling all over the continent, you saw REG add 2 WNBA players on the squad, and they're just adding on to the quality that they had even previously. So there's a lot of anticipation on how KP or even Equity in this case are going to match up against that type of competition. And given like the way the mentality that Equity has, I don't think that it will be a walk in the park at all. It will be very difficult for them to be able to adjust to that position. So I'm just waiting to see the adjustments they're going to make. I know they have their own plays, they have their own things, but they have to like level up on their plays that they're making, because if they keep making the same plays, they're just gonna lose again. and it's just going to be very much it will be much more embarrassing than what we saw in zone 5 against REG. So yeah, moving on.
So coach, you are going to play against this team of Angola in Turkey. Okay. You know them.
Yes, it's not my first time to play against Interclub. I think in 2016, Equity Club was in Angola for the old version of this tournament before it was renamed, and more or less we're meeting some of the players we met. So the best thing, we have tape we can review, so we'll have a look at it. The time is short, so tomorrow we'll get what we can see and help in our preparation as we go.
What the Equity Hawks needed to do was just check the Interclub versus KPA matchup, the first game of the tournament. This game specifically just exposed like how Interclub like manage the offense. They rely on, you know, shooting the 3-ball, which I don't think Equity have. They don't have like a dedicated 3-point shooter, and that's the same reason, and that's the same thing that makes even a team like KPA really struggle. In this case, even Equity, there's no 3-point shooter on the team. They don't play good defense, and they match up against an elite guard. It becomes difficult for them to be able to like stop that scoring barrage, because they're not able to be very they don't have like they're not very good when it comes to like defending the perimeter, or when they have somebody that can be able to like score the ball inside, they don't have any type of defense to be able to like stop that. So those are one of the things that they needed to do in the scouting report. Hopefully they've checked that out, because this game is in about like 3.5 hours. So I know it's a very short time, but one thing that they need to do is to be able to like check on that, because if they don't, man, they're just going to be eaten up alive, and it's not going to be pretty at all.
Melissa and Deborah, just one question about what do you think about this competition? I mean, you are going to play against other players who's coming from WNBA or something like that, from other national team. What do you think about it? Are you afraid? Are you going to look at them? Or what is your thought about that?
I'd say it's a good platform to play against people from all over the world, great talented players. So we're going to learn from them also, and even them, they can learn from us even as much as they are from those countries that they are. And we're going to grow ourselves from competing with them.
My God, I knew this question was coming at some point. Let's just talk about this. So we have a couple of players coming from abroad to come and play. For instance, the biggest like blockbuster move was REG getting 2 WNBA players on the squad, and I know this question is going to be asked like majority of the time, and let's just talk about this. So one thing that I don't like is like the way the reporter tried to like show like the WNBA players are better than, you know, Kenyan players. I know it's something that comes up a lot, and I feel like you should always be confident in your own skill set. If you know you're doing the right thing, and you know that you're very good, and you put in the work on your skill set, it doesn't matter which type of competition is gonna come. You're just going to find a way to adjust and be able to win that matchup. So the mentality for the Equity Hawks right now should be, we're going in there and you're going to match up against teams that are very good, and it's not going to be like those 100-point games or those teams that you blow out by 50 points. That's not going to happen, because every time you move up, the competition gets difficult and much more difficult as you progress. So the teams that you're going to match up with, be prepared to be able to like beat them by only like 2, 3, or even 4 points, or even most of the time like a 10-point win. you're not gonna be used to playing like teams that you can blow them up by 30 points the way you've blown out KBF teams, the way you beat up teams in zone 5. That's not going to be the case, because the teams that you're going to match up with, they've got players from all over the world. So it's going to be quite difficult to be able to, like, come in and just say that you're gonna beat this team easily. So on to that question, I mean, talent plays out anywhere, and given like the way the Equity Hawks look, I don't think that they have what it takes to be able to like defend like those type of players, because the WNBA is a league that is played in the US, and of course, even like with the whole situation, like the way people don't like the WNBA, but if you put those WNBA players in this Africa Women's Cup league and this tournament with this format, there's a high likelihood they're going to be able to like thrive and be able to like drop buckets on you quite easily. So how are the Equity Hawks prepared to deal with that? And if so, and if they found a way to deal with that, what type of defense are they going to put up? So those are the things that they need to like work on in the scouting report. So yeah, moving on.
I think the competition is really giving out a big platform for each and everyone to showcase their talent. And Lisa is saying, it's an honor. So we believe we will take one or two things from them, and we trust also there's one or two things they can always learn from us also. Yeah.
Coach, so last question, means that about maybe coming again on this, the main objective for you for this tournament, it will be to be on the second phase, or to take the game one by one?
Just as my players said, the team is young. We have players that have not been at this level, even they were not at the level of the qualifiers before, and we are giving them the exposure. We are building this team for the future. So going into the tournament, as they say, one game at a time. And if we do well and we are at number between the quarterfinals and the semi-finals, is a great achievement for us as we continue to build it. Yes.
But if you arrive to the semi-final, maybe Deborah and Melissa will ask you to go to the final.
Yeah, exactly. So one game at a time. One game at a time.
Thank you for all, and I hope good luck for all of you.
Thank you.
For this tournament, and we will see. I will be with you.
So in closing, you can even see like they've said what they had to say in there, and this is just my final closing remarks on this video. I know it's been a long video just talking about this, and let's just talk about this in conclusion. So I feel like you have to lower all your expectations when it comes to like the Equity Hawks, because you can even expect like a quarterfinals loss, because I don't think that they have what it takes to get to the semi-finals or even finals, given like the structure of the teams that are there, and given like what the type of competition is there. So even the same thing goes even for KP. I don't think like they have right now what it takes to do that. I don't think that they're building this team for the future. The Equity Hawks is a very old team. They've rolled out one of the oldest rosters, one of the oldest players are gonna go there, and they're going to match up against players that are very young and considerably young, and they're going to be able to like beat them at any point in the court. So lower all the expectations when it comes to this team, and don't have too much expectation. Don't expect the Equity Hawks to make the finals. Just expect them just at least win 3 games in the whole tournament, because we already saw what KPA did last year. They only won 2 games that meant anything, and they won 1 classification game. So all in all, just low expectations of these teams. They're just going to disappoint you at any given time. So if you guys like the video, make sure you leave your feedback down in the comments on what you think, and I'm out. Peace.